Hour number 2 of the LoDown Live here on this Friday. We're so happy you're here with us. Damian Barling along with Jason Ross, the champ. Cody Baylor will be with us here at the top of the 2 o'clock hour, as will Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Morgan going to be with us at 2 o'clock for our Friday mailbag segment. We're only going until 2:30 today, as we've got Kings basketball coming your way at 4 o'clock, which means we've got Kings Live coming up at 3:30, which means we've got game night coming your way at 2:30. So we'll have lots of talk about Kings basketball here on 1140. Not that we didn't have a ton of Kings basketball conversation there in that first hour, man. A 3-7 over the course of the last 10 games has soured some fans, and rightfully so. I understand that's a rough stretch, and you always remember the last thing you saw, and the good points of the season are starting to wear off a little bit. And I thought that was a great question that came up a few moments ago, is if the Kings really do struggle and lose a ton of games over the last 17 or 16 or whatever it is here at this point, does that change your perception on the season? And I believe that it does.
Yeah, I do too. I think that answer, but I think that would have to be really drastic. It hasn't hit that yet. They are now below 500. I know today might be tough. So if you lose today and you go 2 under 500, it's still not there. But you've got a homestand that looks good. Now, if all of a sudden that homestand is 1-3 and you're going backwards, that's when I think it would start to hit. You'd officially be, mathematically out at that point. And then it's, wait a minute, there were so many good things, and I still think there's good things, but it would leave a little bit of a sour taste the way the season finished.
Kings 33-34 below 500 for the first time since January 8th, I believe was the exact day. Zion Williamson returned last night after an absence, returned to the ACC tournament. Duke wins handily 13 of 13 from the field. 29 points, 14 rebounds, 5 steals. Duke advances to the semifinals after that win over Syracuse last night, and it's going to be, wait for it, the Red Sox-Yankees of college basketball. It is Duke in North Carolina tonight.
And I'm guessing they won't put them in the same bracket, so that way if they meet later in the NCAA tournament, they can play for a 4th time.
There you go. First time, well, Zion played all of, a minute?
Yeah, I can't.
In the 2 matchups?
Yeah, because he wasn't very long.
Even if it was that long. He was wearing
less than a minute.
It was less than a minute, yeah. He was wearing Kyrie's last night, for those who are keeping track of his shoe.
Maybe that's why he was so good.
So he abandoned Paul George and his shoe, and went with the Kyrie's, which is I've been meaning to look this up, the most worn shoe in the NBA. It's either Kobe or Kyrie, but it's got to be one of those two. I think it's Kobe, but I'm not sure.
And next year he'll be wearing the Zion Williamson.
100% he will be wearing
whatever that looks like.
Absolutely. It's got to be constructed like LeBron's old shoes. Like LeBron's old shoes before maybe 2 models ago were really heavy. Like LeBron's shoes were built for a guy who is like 6'8", 260 pounds, and nobody else. Because little dudes like me are putting those shoes on feeling like you're walking around with cement blocks on. I have to imagine Zion's shoes are going to be built something like that, even though LeBron's have changed and they've gotten significantly lighter.
Just doing some weight training over here.
That's it.
Walking in my bras.
Just in my shoes, yeah. Chris?
Okay, so this is from last year. Top 5 shoes worn by NBA players: Nike Kobe AD 1.
Yep.
Nike Hyperdunk 2016 2. Nike PG 1 3. Adidas Crazy Explosive 4. Nike KD 9 5.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I knew Kobe's had to be up there. De'Aaron was wearing a 2-year-old Kobe model last night.
Okay. You can just know that when you look at it.
Yeah. Well, that Kobe look is really unique because it's a very high shoe.
Yeah.
Like there's a high top and then there's a high top.
Yeah.
De'Aaron was rocking the high top
to the shin.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's a really, really high shoe. It's supposed to be like, the top part is supposed to be like a built-in sock.
Okay.
Which but it's
a
still
boot.
it still laces. Yes.
Yeah.
It does. It's supposed to add more support there, but it's really, really light. He rocks those pretty frequently.
Yeah.
Have you seen that Hassan Minhaj Patriot Act with the
shoes? Yeah. Yeah, that was actually the first one. When you told me about the show, that was the first one that I watched.
That was the first one. Not about censorship or...
Nope. The one about the shoes. Because Hassan Minhaj's favorite shoe and he comes out in them, is the Jordan 3 Cements, which is just one of the greatest shoes ever that they've discontinued. And so now it's expensive to get those in the aftermarket.
It's like Disney's in the vault.
I don't know what that means.
You know, when Disney comes out with movies, you got to get it now or it's going back in the vault. You don't remember that as a kid growing up?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
I was trapped in the vault.
Did
Jason
Geraldo
was
Rivera-
around.
Did
Jason was
Geraldo
around
Rivera
when,
get you out?
Yes.
Jason was around when Snow White came out in theaters.
I went to school with Snow White.
Did you? Took it to the prom?
Yep.
Nice.
Kind of weird with the older guy with the younger girl at the prom.
Wow. Those pesky dwarfs, though.
I always wondered about the relationship between the dwarfs and Snow White.
Yeah.
Well, we've reached that point of the week, folks.
It's a Friday.
We have reached that point of the. I can't
Yeah.
laugh. Come on, man.
Sounds like it's in there that you want to clear
is.
it all
It's-
out.
It's right here. It's
Wow.
like sometimes when I breathe, like
Not so
it
much
sounds
here.
like boiling water, like in my chest. It's the worst.
Yeah.
And the only way to deal with it is to cough. And like every time I laugh, like Chris came in and said something earlier that made me laugh, and it was like, it's horrible, man. At least I don't feel like I'm on death's doorstep anymore, though.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Like I feel fantastic despite that stuff that's sitting in my chest. I feel fantastic. And there were, I would say, half the days this week I would have preferred death than what I was feeling. It was just freaking miserable. Almost had that death confirmed to me yesterday, so thankfully that's not the case. Okay, so Zion Williamson back. All right, so we're all in. Selection Show Sunday. Do you sit down and do you watch that?
I used to watch it a lot more. I mean, honestly, when I watched college basketball more, there were years where UCLA was one of the better teams, so I would be super intrigued on where they would go. I think maybe next year I'll even have more because the tournament will be back here.
Yeah.
The first two rounds will be back here at Golden One Center.
That was a lot of fun,
That
too.
was great. I mean, it really was. We had some fun shows there, but just to be a part of that, to see other schools and the representation.
Matched up with St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
And we were outside of Malton Mash
Yeah.
doing the show. That was fantastic.
And Lindsey Fudge.
Lindsey Fudge. That was
Yeah.
the first time I had seen Lindsey Fudge in decades.
See, it all came
It
together.
all came together. You saw Lonzo Ball.
Yep.
I saw Lindsey Fudge.
Yes.
It was a win for all of us.
So that'll be next year. But this year, I always like Selection Sunday. The Kings are going to be playing, so I won't be able to watch the show live.
Yeah.
Kings are playing the Bulls, but
Yeah.
but yeah, brackets and that's
And we'll be doing our first courtside with the LoDown.
That's right.
Which I just named without even telling you.
Perfect.
Courtside with the LoDown will be 90 minutes before Kings game, before tip, I should say, on KHTK's various social media platforms. I think it's going to be on both Twitter and Instagram Live.
Okay.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Me, you, Cody B will be down on the court, and we'll do our own little pregame show there starting this Sunday, and we're going to do it for the remaining home games this
And
season.
maybe others.
And maybe others.
We don't know
Yeah,
what special guests may stop by.
Yeah, so it'll be a lot of fun. So make sure you have your alerts turned on for Sports 1140, both on Twitter and on Instagram. So we'll have that set up for you. You know what? Are you big into St. Patrick? Are you wearing green on?
Yeah, you're supposed to. On Sunday, I will. Am I big into it? No, but I'll wear green.
You know what St. Patrick's Day is? It's the closest that the Irish get to Christmas. 111. Got it in. Got the Office reference in. One day. No fighting. No kids. Wait a minute. Why no kids? It's St. Patrick's Day. That episode's going to be on a lot in the next coming days. You're welcome. By the way, if you are curious, that is exactly what I did yesterday.
Watched a lot of episodes?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was told to just lay around and do nothing. It's like, all right, I got you.
So you're choosing The Office now over 2.5 Men?
Yeah.
You done with 2.5 Men?
I'm watching The Office for like the 47th time.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Sorry.
Damn it, man. Come on, Jason.
I'm trying to keep it together for you.
No, what I'm trying not to do is Jason keeps making these nods towards the camera, and our thing is, dude, your audience is a radio audience.
Yeah.
Don't acknowledge what the other person does with the camera. But you made that look when you said, are you done with 2.5 Men? And I couldn't help but start laughing. And then when I laugh, I cough, and that's why we are where we are.
Yes.
So straighten up, because this next part isn't funny. Kareem Hunt's suspension is coming in. A lot of people may have forgotten around all of the excitement around the Cleveland Browns this weekend is that they actually have Kareem Hunt, a second-year stud, on their roster. Kareem Hunt has been suspended 8 games by the National Football League. Now, you can argue whether this 8-game suspension is excessive. You can argue whether it's perfect. And you can argue whether it's too lenient. My only question is, and it's the question we have every time an NFL suspension comes up, is how did we get to 8 games? Mm-hmm. We have video of Kareem Hunt kicking, making contact with a woman who's on the ground. We have video of Kareem Hunt being restrained by multiple men, another woman, before emerging again and kicking her again. 8 games. Okay? Ezekiel Elliott got 6 after an investigator said, we don't have any evidence. I recommend nothing. Like, we have no evidence to prosecute him. Like, I recommend he doesn't get suspended at all. Okay, ma'am, thanks for your findings. We're going to suspend him 6 games. How do you go from no evidence in 6 to videotape evidence in 8?
Right, and I don't know the answer to that because we've always questioned this. We joke for time and time again, do they have the wheel and they spin the number of games? But what I wonder is, if it reminds me of somebody trying to get a deal, a raise or a car or purchase something where it's, hey, the car's $30,000, let's say, and the dealership's comfortable with like, oh, we can get you this for $32,000, and knowing that 30 is kind of their floor, and it's like, all right, well, we're giving you 8 games. If he appeals, our floor is 6,
which he's not.
Okay, so then we're comfortable with it being 8, and if we kind of hear the word, and we hear the headwinds, like, hey, 8 games, see, they were strong, not too strong, probably appropriate. All right, we'll leave it at 8. But if he did appeal and he dropped it and referenced Ezekiel Elliott or some other way, all right, we'll get to 6 and we'll call it a day. Mm-hmm. I just feel like that's kind of the way the NFL does it.
Kareem Hunt's agent, Dan Safran, I thought him and his agency handled this about as well as you possibly could.
Okay, so yeah, what did they end up? So they've already come out and said they're not appealing.
Correct, and I think that's a smart move for them in the sense that you might have just gone, and it, obviously it's the off season, but you may have just gone to a really, really good team that's going to have a lot of eyeballs on them.
Yeah.
And you have put yourself in a really, really good situation with the general manager who 100% believes in you because he was the guy that drafted you in Kansas City.
Yep.
We're going to accept the suspension, and it's just going to go away.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt is going to be scarcely mentioned from now.
Very scarcely.
Right. From now until, I don't know when Kansas City's bye week is ultimately going to be. Let's say it's not till after week 8. Until after that week 7 game, when they start gearing up for the return of Kareem Hunt. Then the story is going to be brought back. It'll be discussed for a week. It'll be discussed as the lead-in to whatever game the Cleveland Browns are on that week. The NFL's not stupid. They'll probably put him on primetime. And it'll be dealt with that day, and then it'll be gone again. They have ensured themselves, at least in my opinion, minimal coverage of this Kareem Hunt incident, of this incident, for the next however many months until we get to the middle of, we'd probably be beginning of November, middle of November maybe by the time we get to week 8?
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Well, and the way we've seen people that have gone to fight it and appeal it, sometimes it drags out for one or it gets pushed into a season. Take your punishment and be done with it. And like you said, I think he will be kind of forgotten. Behave yourself, obviously, first and foremost. And then, everybody, I think, is comfortable giving people a second chance. Now, you jeopardize that, I think then you got other issues. But, all right, you're getting a second opportunity. A new team believes in you. A former GM that's now your current GM obviously believes in you. You're going to a team that's going to be one of the hottest things going into the year. Whether they fulfill that, who knows, but that's the reality. Mm-hmm. And then be ready to roll week 9.
Yeah.
Or 10, depending on the
whatever it is, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and like you said, I think he will be forgotten. And if Nick Chubb is playing great, well, fit in where you fit in. Mm-hmm. And if it's, hey, we got a great team, I'm just going to add on to this great team, go for it.
Teddy Bridgewater decided to stay with the New Orleans Saints yesterday, which is, the story got even a little bit more interesting because we heard Teddy Bridgewater was going to stay in New Orleans. Then he was going to take a meeting with Miami, which he did. And then he decided yesterday that he was going to sign a 1-year, $7.25 million guarantee to stay as the backup of the New Orleans Saints. Today, the Dolphins traded Ryan Tannehill to the Tennessee Titans to be their backup. And Tennessee was very clear. He's coming in. He's going to be our backup. We're going to restructure his contract, and he'll be good to go. Miami very literally does not have a quarterback right now, or at least the guy who I think they can even consider as a number one option. Tannehill, you could argue, probably not well, but you could argue was going to be their starting quarterback moving forward. They've just moved on from him, so they draft 13th. I don't know that that's good enough for Dwayne Haskins. I don't know if it's good enough for Kyler Murray, but that's where they are right now.
Well, a couple things there. The other day, maybe it was Wednesday, we discussed that division of the Titans where he went. And ranked quarterbacks, you put Mariota fourth.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting that he goes there. I mean, I think they're going forward with Mariota, but is it, hey, let's get a better security blanket, and that way if something's not right, he's been injured just a little bit the last couple of years.
He was playing games with no feeling in his hands, if I recall.
Isn't that crazy?
No,
Probably
yes,
not advised,
it's a lot of things,
yeah.
but
But then the other part of it is Miami. And I already started thinking, you said where they draft, and I said before the show, I'm like, all right, 49ers, Raiders, I would contact the Dolphins. You really that interested in Murray? You really that interested in Haskins? We're picking pretty high here. Call us.
Yeah.
What's the deal that you can make us so that we'll move down? We'll get you up there so you can get your quarterback, and we'll get some more picks out of this.
Are you sold on Marcus Mariota?
More so than Tannehill. Yeah, he is better.
Okay, take Tannehill out of the equation. How about this? Are you more sold on Marcus Mariota or Jameis Winston?
Ooh, man. Jameis Winston.
Okay.
Which that might not be the right answer, but I am more sold on Jameis. I think Jameis has more to him.
I mean, they're both in the late 20s, right? If we're ranking
quarterbacks. Yeah, more the present day.
And they both show glimpses.
They both were higher at one point. I would say in the teens to, yeah. But they both. Oh, Jameis is coming off a terrible season. Mariota's been injured, and yeah, I feel like if everything is right for Jameis, he still has some great potential.
I got to give you some credit. When we were doing 4 in and 4 out last year, we had like kind of an extra. We had our 4 in and 4 out, and then we had like, hey, keep an eye on. And your keep an eye on was the Chicago Bears.
Mm-hmm.
And you were on that Bears bandwagon long before anybody else was. The Bears, Jason, last year spent approximately $102 million in guaranteed money on free agents. That's the most that any team spent last year. I did a little research here. So they were 5-12 that season. Headed into that offseason, they spent all of that money. 7-win improvement for the Chicago Bears. The year before, 2017, the Jaguars spent $72 million in guaranteed money. They had a big improvement. The year before that, the Giants, that was the year they had the famous spending spree on defense where they spent well over $100 million in guaranteed money. And I just thought about those three teams for a second. The Giants and the Jaguars, and now the Bears. The Bears remains to be seen. But how long did that spending spree for the Giants last?
Yeah, I don't even remember. Did they have net returns that year?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
they had
that
a
was the
huge.
year.
They were like 11. And,
oh, that's okay. I was trying to get my years correct.
Yeah,
couldn't remember
that
how it
was the
affected
year
them.
they spent all of that money on defense. They came in out of that offseason with Snacks and all those guys, 11-5.
11-5, yeah.
Jacksonville
Right.
went to the AFC Championship.
And leading in the fourth quarter against the Patriots.
What shape are those two teams in right now?
Not very good at all.
And
What
now
are you
you've
saying
got-
about the Bears?
I'm not saying anything about the Bears.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the trend of the team that has spent the most money in free agency has been a huge net positive
Year one.
for 1 year.
Yeah.
Because the Giants went up and then promptly went back down for them. This was 2016. So they went on to 2 terrible seasons. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they went up and then they promptly went down. Where they go this year, we'll see. The Bears, they promptly went up. What are they going to do in this upcoming season?
Yeah.
Do we have new era, sort of, I guess, in Green Bay with Mike McCarthy gone.
Right.
Minnesota, they better figure it out because they've kind of set a standard with how you pay a quarterback now. And obviously you got Chicago there, and Detroit they'll still beat Detroit.
Do we have a leader right now as far as free agency money spent, as far as an organization for 2019?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I was curious to see which team is that 1 year bump.
Well,
we know the Colts had a ton of money, but have yet to really use that. The Raiders have spent some pretty good money.
Yeah, the Raiders. I got to imagine it's the Raiders or the Jets because the Lions have a lot of money too, and they haven't done
the Lions
anything.
and Colts have been quiet.
We'll look this up. We'll find out who has spent the most money so far. But I have to imagine it's the Raiders or the Jets, right?
Raiders have made, both Browns, Joyner,
Williams.
I mean, they've
spent. They had 80-ish headed into the year.
But the Colts were over 100 is what they had, right?
They had so much. They spent 12 that we're aware of.
Yeah.
They spent so they only have 90-some-odd million dollars left.
What a bargain.
Don't spend it all in one place, guys.
That's right.
Deuce and Mo are going to join us at the top of the 2 o'clock hour for our Friday mailbag. We'll shift gears. We'll get back to the Kings. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Austin, always great to hear from you, my man. What's happening?
Hey, what's up, brother? It's been a minute. Schedule change at work. I couldn't chime in, but I definitely want to talk Kareem Hunt. I'm glad you brought that up. I know the NFL only cares about one thing, and that is money. We all know that. And not the well-being of the players. They laughed at CTE and effectively tried to discredit and ruin the career of a wonderful doctor, Bennett Omalu, to the point where Will Smith decided it was a good idea to put it into a blockbuster film, and they don't seem to care about domestic abuse or battery towards women. But don't you dare smoke weed, or else we'll suspend you for multiple games. I mean, I can't believe Josh Gordon is practically out of the league right now, and Kareem Hunt only got 8 games. I don't know who these fans or sponsors are who think that weed is so much worse than domestic abuse or maybe Black Lives Matter even. I mean, I'm not even touching on Colin Kaepernick yet. And there are so many problems. What is it about the NFL that is so misaligned in terms of priorities that they think this is okay? I mean, I'll take your answer off the air, but I'm so frustrated today. I cannot believe the NFL is this popular with how terribly they seem to look at society and what we should be as people. So that's it, guys. I'm pissed off today, but I appreciate your show.
Austin, we always appreciate you. 2 things. First thing I want to note is Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon has admittedly had addiction issues that span far outside the use of marijuana. So I want to be careful because we know that he's away for, drug tests. We know he's away for addiction issues. I think it's unfair and irresponsible of us to assume it's marijuana because, again, this is a man who has acknowledged his addiction to other things outside of that. So while, Josh, I get your argument about using, weed and marijuana in that example, Josh Gordon might not be the guy. As far as domestic, we've been over this 1,000 times. It's a microcosm of society. Mm-hmm. Society, the NFL does not care about how women are portrayed or what are done to women, just like most of society doesn't. Those that do, it's few and far between. The NFL is a microcosm of society. They just don't care.
Sad reality.
We've asked, for 3 years, and we'll never get an answer because it's just not changing. We'll step out. We'll come back. Hey, is there one trade deadline in Major League Baseball now? Maybe. And Jason's over here sweating. I think the Red Sox might have scored a run before the game ended.
Yankees win.
No, for goodness sakes. We'll come back. More of the LoDown live on KHTK.com. So let the gangs begin. We've got tickets to Rascal Flats coming up. We're going to give those to you at the top of the 2 o'clock hour. Right when the mailbag gets underway, Deuce and Mo are going to join us. Make sure you are watching along on the LoDown Live.